YouTube channel near you.
Welcome back, everybody. It seems so long, all of about 44 minutes ago, but whole different topic now. So we'll give people time to roll in a little bit. Amy's come back. Good to see you, Amy. Again, happy Halloween, everybody. Hopefully if you have kids or grandkids and you're out trick-or-treating with them, everybody was safe. Everybody was warm and cozy. For Michigan, it's actually a very nice Halloween Eve, considering the fact that it is actually still like 43 degrees outside in Michigan. That is a pretty astounding, considering we used to have to wear snowsuits when I was just a wee lad. Curtis the Chicken Man is back. Welcome. And tonight, Halloween special. And we're going to bring him out, right? Whoop. I was going to bring him out, but he disappeared. Dave Walker is back. So we will send him a message and see what happened. I hope everybody's Halloween's going well. I hope everybody enjoyed the show earlier that I did with the snow encounters, that I had, and somebody else did as well, disappeared in 8 Canyon of all places. Linda's there in the thing. Welcome. Dave's here again, so let's bring him on out while we got him. Oh, we got the dreaded buffering button. Well, we'll give Dave a minute. So hopefully everybody's doing well. It's been, as far as Bigfooting, I still haven't been out. Health is on the upstage, and hopefully we'll be getting out before too long, before the snow flies. Now that I actually have a couple of locations, it'll make things easier as far as getting out. And now I see Dave is fully loaded and ready to come on stage. So let's bring the big guy out. There's Dave.
Hello, everybody.
You got booted for a minute.
Yeah, I did. I don't know why you did that. I don't know what I've ever done.
Oh, and something tells me weather's going to be a factor in the show tonight, and stuff happens, folks. Dave did just move, so could very well be a issue with the internet, but we'll make it work. We'll give him a little time, see how things come out, and anybody who didn't see last week, somebody did send me a very nice gift. Lenny, who is normally in the chat, hard to read, but it says, Brian Barber, the man, the myth, the legend, Bigfoot trembles. So I don't know about any of that, but it's very thoughtful of him and very appreciated. One day soon, he and I will meet up. And we have Bear chewing on a picture he shouldn't have. That was a close one. Put holes in, but it was a good picture. It's probably the only picture I have of my grandpa. So good job, Bear. Little prick. Anyway, let's try getting Dave back here. Here we go. Uh-oh.
I don't know what's going on.
Little internet issue.
Apparently, it's the first time I've done one here in this house, but I'm right here in Canton. We got full internet. I don't know what's going on. Am I okay so far?
The
Okay.
video's lagging,
Well,
but we can hear you. So
okay. Now, so hopefully, I won't know that time.
there you
Still
are.
got me?
Still a little twisted. Okay.
It must be Halloween, Jenkins.
Yeah, the goblins are interfering with us tonight.
Yeah, they know we're about ready to stop.
Yeah, got slapped already. Got slapped right out of chat. That's never a good thing. Man. Anybody have questions? That's a shame. Logging, yeah, lagging, yeah. You know, I already did my topic for earlier, so we're gonna have to think of something. Hopefully, Dave will be able to get back in here, and let's see. Oh, Amy got his book. How is it, Amy? Amy, tell us how the book is. I was looking up earlier, scary Bigfoot encounters, and hasn't read it yet. Well, then you have to give us a first-hand review. You know, Amazon is nice for reviews, but it's always good to have a first-hand account. Skim through it. It's a lot with some cool pics. Yeah, supposedly there's some. If I remember right, Dave said there's pics in there that he hasn't showed anybody else, and he's never put on the air. So that should be really interesting. And the people that's here, what do we think of the scary Bigfoot encounters? We had the Bigfoot ski chaser. Wasn't that kind of weird? You actually follow the ski tracks, find that he did a lot of dumb things that somebody being that smart of a skier wouldn't do, and then his skis go over, or they show his tracks go over the edge of a cliff, and they never find even a ski pole. Now, after doing some research, though, we can talk about that a little bit. Is that story true? Because, you know, I'll admit, eating a nice little piece of lasagna, it was delicious, by the way, absolutely delicious. I did a little digging into that, and there's actually some questions. Is that Jim Carter story true? So let's recap a little bit while we're waiting for Dave. So Jim Carter was 32 and an experienced skier and mountaineer who disappeared in the slopes of Mount St. Helens in May of 1950. He was a member of a 20 member climbing party from Seattle. Hey, Dave's back. Here we are. Uh-oh.
Hello.
We kind of got you.
Oh, you kind of got me?
Yeah, it's lagging a little bit.
I got this. I haven't connected it up yet, so that might be it. I haven't had time. I've just been busy unpacking and busy doing this and that, and I haven't really had time to do it. I was going to do it tomorrow, but I forgot. Oh, the show tonight, but I thought, I got at least one more day.
Oh, well, right now it's pretty good, so I'm not going to waste any
Okay,
more
well,
time.
hey, you can turn me loose. I can do most of it from memory anyhow.
All right. I'm going to turn you loose, son. We'll let you go with.
Okay. Is this number 4 show, Brian?
This is number 4.
Okay. Well, we are scheduled. Hopefully, we can do this. We are scheduled for to talk about UFOs, orbs, and Bigfoot. And it'd be appropriate, on this Halloween night that we can get into a little bit of that. And I always like to do a recap of where these entities come from, especially with the UFOs. And we had some questions on the last podcast, and the guy was saying, well, where do these things come from? And are they dangerous? Or, does the entire world have to be afraid of what's going to be going on with them? And or are they, from millions and trillions of light years away, clear across the space and the universe over there toward Pluto? Are they coming from the Orion Belt, quadrant 403065-7 megalith or something like that? Make up your own map for that. Well, I don't believe so. And all my research that I have done, there's nothing that indicates that these beings are from outer space. In fact, the things that they do and their telepathic communication, how they don't really talk to you directly, but they speak to you through your mind, which we know is called telepathy or telepathic communication. All that stuff is the same thing that demonic beings use to talk to their entities or to us. So there's a correlation very similar between aliens, UFOs, ET, whatever you want to call them. There's a real close interaction there. And several different authors, people in UFOlogy, Dr. John Mack is one of them. What's the other guy's name? Whitney Stryberg, the author of Communion, and Bud Hopkins. These are people that study the UFO phenomenon, that have talked to abductees. And these abductees have kind of communicated with the aliens. And so because they gave certain information about them, they found out that there's one thing that the aliens do not like to hear from their earthly subjects or abductees or whatever you would call them. And that is, they don't like to hear the name of Jesus Christ. Whenever they say his name, they go absolutely ballistic, haywire. They just lose it. But when you can talk about Buddha, you can talk about Muhammad, you can talk about Hare Krishna, or some of the other gods, they nod their head. Yeah, they got some good points. But when you mention the name of Jesus and God, the God of the Holy Bible, in complete denial, we don't want to hear nothing about that. We only want to talk about positive things, not the negative aspects of the Bible. And Jesus Christ is nothing but a false entity, a false God. Do not listen to him, they say. So they really strike out against Jesus. Now, why would you think they would do that? Could it be that maybe someday they know that this Jesus guy or God that they're talking about will be the same one that will judge them to their eternal damnation? Are these the same entities that Jesus had to take full authority over and rebuke them and cast them out of the people in the Bible? That, there's several different instances of him casting out devils, and the high priest and the people said, they marveled and said, Even the devils are subject unto him. Whew! You're talking into the supernatural realm here. So you're probably thinking, okay, I hear you, Walker. What's that have to do with the UFOs? I don't get it. And without the background that I'm getting ready to give y'all, there's no way that you could get it. But once I give you the background, you're going to go, oh, yeah. Now I get it. Now I understand. Makes perfect sense. So I'm going to begin with my book, since my book, Supernatural Cryptids, Return of the Nephilim.
I have to tell you real quick.
And these beings that, are, I believe, associated with the UFOs are actually the same ones the Bible calls the sons of God. Now, when this phrase is used, it's a very controversial one, but for the sake of time, we're just going to assume, rightfully so, that they are angels that are millions, maybe even billions of years old. We don't know the timetable when they were created. Now, in the Bible, it talks about that in Job chapter 38, verse 7. And what I'm going to do here is, if I can find that real quick on my notes, I'm going to read that to you. I know I got that written down. Here we go. When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy. Now, just backing that up a little bit, a couple verses, God's talking to Job out of the whirlwind. And I would love to have been there, or love to watch that on a little TV screen, and seeing this man covered in boils, his three friends all mocking him, telling him how bad and how sinful he is because God cursed him with that curse all over him. And now, but he said something about, I wish I had an audience with God. I wish he could understand my plight. And all of a sudden, a whirlwind appears, and God talks to him. And God says, where were you when I created the foundations of the earth? Were you there when I laid the line upon it? Were you there when I established the foundation of it? Where was you at? And then he said, when the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God, and we believe that means the angels, shouted for joy. Can you imagine that in your mind's eye? What that could have taken, what that could have looked like, what that could have, the beautiful earth. We think the earth is, pretty nice now, but it's been what, 6,000 years, as far as we know, under the curse of Adam and Eve and stuff like that. Bringing that into the world. But the devil is the one that actually brought the curse. And that's why Jesus had to wear a crown of thorns, because the thorns are what? Part of the curse, as well as the animal kingdom, snakes biting, things like that. There was a division there because of sin. Now, let's getting back to what how these sons of God played a part in UFOs. There's a story that's on my mind. I want to tell it. I want to give you more of a background. Say, one of the originators of originator experience of the whole thing. And as she was experiencing this, they was trying to get a little bit closer to where he was at, but they didn't really have to, because there was a UFO that came up to them. It came up on the road. It came, and her boyfriend was sitting in the car. She said it was hovering directly in front of the window of the vehicle. Yeah.
Sorry, folks. And we lost him. Kind of weird just when he was getting to the good part, too. Makes you wonder sometimes who's listening. So, until Mr. David gets back. I know, Amy, right? And he admitted he forgot to hook up. Sounds like he forgot to hook up his router, I'm guessing. That's what I'm guessing. So anyway, we were recapping till Dave comes back. Is the story of the disappearing skier true? Like I said, as I was waiting between shows. Oh, he's back. As soon as he logs in, a little twisted. Satan doesn't want him to tell his story. Yeah. It's all right, Dave.
I do apologize, sir. It's all on my end.
No
I
worries.
really do apologize. You got me pretty good.
Yep. Where you're at, you're pretty
I'm
good.
just going to sit right here where I'm at,
There you
and
go.
hopefully we can crank out the rest of this. Linda felt that the UFO was a living organism, or she said she didn't know what, but she felt it was alive. So we're going to take it that, with that being said, how can we even begin to prove something like that? Well, now I wanted to begin reading the book. Hopefully, this won't go out again. Something that Gary Stearman said from Prophecy in the News. This was back in the 2001 edition. And Gary said this. He said, is there a connection between the corruption of the human race in the days of Noah and the modern stories of UFO abduction? Is someone breeding another human hybrid race of aliens? So Gary has made the connection to these sons of God who were the fathers of the giants, the Nephilim. So the giants do play a very important part in what's going on here. But with the UFOs, I tend to think they're more on the order, and I know I'll get a lot of flack from this one, but I'm going to explain myself real fast with it. More on the order of fallen angelic technology, and perhaps even fallen angels morphing themselves into spaceships. And you say, why would they do that? In the hopes that we would believe, a likable theory, that they are creators and that they have come back from faraway planets way out in the galaxy to monitor us and to actually, make sure we're doing okay. And according to them, we're not doing very good, and we need their help. And so they're trying to help us, they say. But there's a lot of inconsistencies in what they're trying to get over to us that completely is out of line with the Bible. But instead of trying to help us, it seems like they're trying to hurt us, or they're trying to use our genes and our sexual parts to create a hybrid race, as Gary said. You're talking reptilian, you're talking aliens, you're talking tall, blonde-haired, what they call Nordic beings. You're talking all kind of different looking entities. Now they have the humanoid form, but they're not called man, of course, because they do look very different than the man, woman. They look very different than that. How many of you have ever heard of the ones with the great big heads and the big almond eyes? Well,
Oh,
there's a lot of that going on too. And I wanted to read here some things that. How many of you have ever heard of the Barney Hill, Barney and Betty Hill, their UFO experience?
oh.
Have you ever heard of that one, Brian?
Where they were driving their car?
Yeah.
Yep. But probably a
They
lot of people.
spot this UFO thing.
We're losing you.
I'm sorry.
We're losing you. Go back to
Well,
that spot.
I hear it kind of went in and out there, didn't it?
There we go.
Let me move back to where I was at before. Maybe it's the place in the house. I don't know. I'll go back to where I was. Are you getting me back better?
We got you much better right now. As I say that, it stops.
I'll just sit down.
And he's gone. I know, right, Amy? He said he wasn't going to move, and then we see him walking through the house. What? What the frick you doing? You found the sweet spot. Stay there. So, in this double story episode of Bigfoot's Barbershop, is the story true? We already know he skied down the hill, disappeared. Didn't find any sign of him. But is it true? Because apparently there's some issues with when this story was actually told. See if I can find where that went. Because of the fact that these articles were actually written during the search. So, the fact that they were written during the search and it was 66 was the reprint, but with added information, I tend to give it credibility. Amy, haha, right? Yeah, I know. He told us he was going to stay still, and then what did he do? He walked through his house. That's not staying still. My dog is staying still. There he is. Oh, not a great spot yet.
Hold on a second over here. You're going to have to hold on.
Okay, right now we got you. Are you there?
Yeah, you got me?
We got you.
Yeah.
Well, we had you.
Hey, let's give her one more try. And maybe you'll have to fill in something else, but we'll do it. We'll give her one more try. Did you hear? You got me?
No, barely. We might have to redo this.
You want to?
Yeah, let's try this again next week. We'll give you a chance to get your everything plugged in and set up, and so we
Yeah,
can hear you.
I'll have to get my hooked up here.
Yeah. So we could end it now, but let's have a little fun. So if anybody's got questions, how about theories? What do you all think Bigfoot is? Let's have a open chat. John's Halloween internet getting swamped. Yeah, I imagine people streaming Halloween movies, ghost stories, werewolves and vampires and witches. Oh my! So it is just being messed with tonight. We'll have Dave back next week. We'll do that, and until then, you know what? I don't know. Let's kill a little time. Let's have a little fun. Let's pull up some random pictures because some of these I don't have labeled. Oops. Don't want to do that. BF, spiritual, demonic, and otherworldly. Ooh. The demonic part is what through I can see some aspects of it. So help me understand, John. Demonic part. I mean, I'm not saying it's not possible because as I've said time and time again, I think everything is on the table. I do have my own personal. Oh, Gugway. Yeah, Gugway. They are kind of the anomaly out of the. I believe there's 5 types of Bigfoot, if I remember correctly, from Old Bear. And Gugway are the nasty ones. They're the. I believe Gugway means face eater, if I remember right, and they're actually the ones who will prey on other Bigfoot. So do you mean Gugway are the demonic ones, or are they all demonic, in your opinion? And because I'll go with Gugway are definitely the Tasmanian devils of the Bigfoot world. You know, they feed on the other ones, they roam, they don't have no friends, yet they must get together to make little Gugways. Hey, Michelle, welcome to the improv show tonight. We had David Walker scheduled. He's having internet issues, so now we are just throwing stuff all over the place and making something happen for a few more minutes for having some Halloween fun. And we were just talking about someone believes Bigfoot are demonic. So we're going down that line. He believes the Gugway are demonic. There are 5 types, and we just asked if it's just the Gugway or are they all? Yes, but all are something not of this world. Gotcha. Amy, no, we're just hanging out. Exactly, Amy. You know, we're all here. Let's have a little chat because I've always told you guys, chat's what it's about. So, let's chat. We got one otherworldly, Gugway demonic. Me on the everything is on the table. And let's see. I'll throw up some pictures that I shared earlier for anybody who didn't see them. I think everybody was in the. If I'm looking right, everybody was in the last show though. No, Lenny wasn't. Let's show Lenny some pictures. So we'll show Lenny where the fact that in this one, let's give him the background photos first. Lenny, we talked about tonight. I found the Bigfoot tracks, and Shauna and I got escorted out. And here's a picture that I took before we walked up that hill. In that picture, in the yellow tracks, you can see the tracks. And Bob Daigle actually lightened this photo to a degree and circled where there could be two more Bigfoot, or there could be two Bigfoot, period. And then, oops. In this photo, we lightened it further and zoomed in, and the first circle on the left actually looks like this. So, about quarter of the way down, you can see what looks like the top of the head and shoulders, kind of turned sideways, looking at the tree from behind those trees. I can't zoom it in, but you see the shadows there. So Shauna and I actually walked on this path. Oops. Wrong button. We walked not by the Bigfoot tracks, but we walked up the hill on the other side of the deer tracks, so the right-hand side. So we were within the jumping distance of that big boy and the second circle on the left. And that's a little nerve-wracking. You know, when I talked about scary Bigfoot encounters before, see, John, I've seen 4 different types. Yes, go very bright and vanish. Oh. Amy. Wow. I've never seen nothing, no UFO, no Bigfoot, no ghost. Boo-hoo for me. Amy, be careful what you wish for, my friend. And everything's happened. That's an experience. John's have all been in broad daylight, all of his experiences. So yeah, most of mine have been because of the situation. I don't get to go out at night very much, but when I do enjoy it. I had one night where I went out. I wasn't even Bigfooting. You know, I literally went. I didn't even take my backpack or bag with me or anything, and sat at the end of the road and heard what sounded like footsteps. There is a couple of solar powered parking lights so that people can monitor who goes down that road. And so I sat at my truck, and under that light, right up next to the front of the truck, and just listened. And you could hear footsteps. You could hear tree breaks. I could clap my hands twice and I'd get 1 or 3 back. You know, I was out there a little over an hour, but by the end of that hour, it sounded like they were getting closer and closer, and I wasn't really sure how to take that. You know, we talk about scary encounters on, you know, Halloween for Bigfoot. And, you know, obviously I talked about the skier disappeared, which is scary. But to me, some of the scariest ones are when people tend to put emotions on them, but when, like, stalking, like they're walking behind you and you might catch a glimpse when you turn around, you know, and the fact that something 7 to 10 feet tall and somewhere from 400 to 1,000 pounds can walk behind you, and all you have is your sixth sense to let you know that something's there. And which is what the image I threw up earlier of the Bigfoot selfie I took, which is right. Oops, nope, this is the one here. This is the one where I know Lenny wasn't in here, and John. This is the Bigfoot. I call it my Bigfoot selfie, because as I knew something was around me, and I know Bigfoot can see where you're looking, can tell where you're looking. So I literally just put my camera up, took a selfie, and I believe if you look at the big black steak in the middle and go to the right to the little steak, just to the left of that little steak is what looks like the top of a head, eyes, and dark fur around the Bigfoot's face. So we got that selfie style. And once I took a look at that, the thought of something that big following me was something that terrified me. Is that us? The two circles? No. John, all mine within 25 to 100 yards from the main roads while pulling off, taking break as a truck driver. I can see that, a lot of people will tend to put also while hunting and hiking. Yeah. I mean, in theory, what we are doing is, the Bigfoot live in the forest, and in their mind, they've cleaned a certain area. And if they get people walking through, it'd be no different than if we're living in a house with no doors and no windows. And, somebody's coming through. You don't know what their intentions are. You don't know if they're going to grab that bottle of vodka that you're hiding from the hubby and keep on going, or they just passing through and not intending on doing anything. So Bigfoot are probably the same way. Are you stopping? Are you going to pee in front of their favorite tree, or pick the berries that they were hoping to have for dessert after eating Bambi? We never know their intentions. So some of it could be curiosity, some of it could be just escorting you out. I do believe they also seek you out, John. Yeah, I think so too. Like I said, it's one way or another, curiosity, or, hey, need to just get you out of here. Amy's could be just curiosity, boredom. Exactly. I mean, look at all the things we need to do or have in our life to keep us occupied without going absolutely insane from boredom. And then if Bigfoot are as intelligent as we think they are, they're going to go through the same thing. And if you're living out in the woods, you've got trees, grass, water, and little bunnies to chase, little squirrels to chase, try to sneak up on them. Same thing. And then you get somebody who's all brightly colored, got something funny on their back. They're reaching into it, and then they're pulling out yummy goodies that look like something you really want. We're the Bigfoot version of Simpsons. All types, all colors, all people going out in the woods, all kinds of different activities, playing Frisbee with the dog, playing Frisbee with the kids, all that stuff. So they're curious, it could very well just be curiosity, people. It's not always a threat. It's intimidating by all means. Even at 6 foot and at my biggest muscular wise, 290, it's intimidating. And, with intimidation can come fright. Those two can come hand in hand. Not always, but, they can. And when something that maybe you don't even believe is real appears on you, watching you unpack your lunch, something to look at. Yeah, exactly, Amy. We are their version of Netflix. The reason I say spiritual, I see the same 2 in 4 different states while stopping. Oh, that's interesting. I do know somebody that is not different states, but they're a few miles apart. and they seem to be getting the same Bigfoot. It is very, Amy says, that's interesting, John. Yeah, it's very interesting. I've heard of that in a Dogman incident where a woman thought she hit one with a car, and it seemed like it was a act of malice that it followed her for a couple of years through a few different states, like 3/4 of the way off the country, and it had like a scar on its face or something that was identifying. And Amy, we are the Netflix. We are. I mean, that's the best way I can put Netflix, because if you want to find any kind of movie you want, whether it's horror, comedy, love story, lots of Bigfoot encounters, or people coming up and being a little frisky, get caught. That's the Bigfoot's OF page right there. You just got OF for free, and it wasn't malice. They just want to see what's going on. Because I think if they had more malice in their heart and bad intentions, you would see a lot more people go missing. I know you hear all about the people in Yellowstone and all the national parks, about all the people go missing, but Bigfoot didn't do it all. Hate to say it, folks. I don't care what clique you're in. Bigfoot didn't take them all. Now, you do have cases of Dennis Martin. That does sound very squatchy, as we'll say. That, the kid got carried off, and from what I can gather in the Dennis Martin case, it's on a female, so maybe she lost her baby trying to replace it with the young boy. But otherwise, they're coming up and seeing what's on TV. Strictly curiosity or hungry. I mean, think about it. I was a jerk and habituated, and still paying my penance for those. But how many other people have been habituating, and where mine were throwing peanut butter jars at a house to get somebody's attention to fill the jars back up. How many other people get scared off of their coolers or get scared out of their tents? You hear a lot of that. Run off and leave the cooler with a Budweiser in it or something for them. So if they figure they can use their size and stuff to do that, yeah, of course you're going to get it. And it's probably just like in modern society, it's the juveniles. I thought I was the smartest person in the world till I was about 24, and then it hit me how dumb I really was and how lucky I was I lived through it. That's why when people ask me, oh, wouldn't you like to be young again? It's like, no, not at all. I was lucky I lived through it the first time. So yeah. When John is talking demonic, I can see the Gudwig, but in my opinion, the rest of them are just their people, and you got some really nasty ones too. Miracle any of us make it to 18 years old. Yeah, exactly. God, I did some dumb stuff looking back. Not horrific, but let alone 25. Yeah, that was a turning point for me. It was when I went from 24. It really hit me, and I don't know why. And you can all call me, a Pop-Tart or whatever else you want to call me. But once I turned 25, it hit me. It's like, I'm a quarter of a century old. My life is 1/3 over at the very least. I better get my crap together and fly right, because I am not going to live to see 26 doing this. I didn't know anything or cared about any of these things till 2021. Yeah, as far as Bigfoot goes, I mean, I always knew about him. I saw one when I was 16. So, and Linda's in the chat. She didn't believe in any of it until, I think it was 2020, when we went out and on that very famous walk down the snowy road. I didn't want to clap or, I didn't want to scream, so I clapped. And then we get to a point, I say, hey, that looks like a cool spot. I want to take a picture out there. And all of a sudden, it sounded like two catcher's mitts slamming together twice, which is how many times I had clapped. But it was very quick and very fast. And I stopped mid-track, looked at her, and she looked at me, and I said, yeah, it takes hands to clap. And she's like, yep. And I said, okay, time to go home. And then we got harassed on the way out. Not harassed, but they celebrated. You could hear, footsteps on the left, and you could hear them on the right. Then you hear the metal gate banging. So they let us know they were all around. And there's another instance of they could have got you, and they didn't. I think they always believed. To me, they probably thought it was funny as hell. Oh, I got to get my glasses. Sorry, guys. 1 second. I always brushed it off as something else. I've been hunting 51 years this year. Yeah, Linda Thompson was your hobby first. Yeah, but you got to share. And that's one thing people don't do. A lot of people don't do in the Bigfoot community. If you don't, the clicks are just crazy. The woo, the not woo, the alien, the not alien, and the people who stick steadfast and won't cross a line are the ones who create the most drama, and it's sad. That's why I say everything's on the table. I don't draw any lines. I'm going to listen to what anybody has to say. And just because I've never seen one open a portal, I'm not going to say they can't do portals. A lot of other people have seen it. People see him walk out a flash of lights. There's an instance on the Patterson Gimlin film with a flash of light, and next thing he sees a Bigfoot. And from what my understanding is, it's not an artifact on the film. So just because I don't think, just because I haven't seen it doesn't mean they don't do it. That's the best way I can say it. So, and I'm not going to slam anybody for that because I don't want them slapping me for, like, this guy finding a peanut butter jar with the lid screwed back on. Pick clean. Here, do this. Get rid of this bad boy. Pick clean. No gouges. No bite marks. No claw marks. Tinfoil is perfectly peeled off, and actually have that right here. It's one piece, folks. I don't know any raccoons, possums, badgers, bears, or anything else that's ever going to be able to do that. So definitely, John, definitely portals 25 yards away at 8 to 9 foot tall at a New York rest area. And see, and I'm not going to doubt that because you saw it. So, Amy, that is so wild, that jar. Yeah, I mean, had some crazy stuff, and and Linda can vouch that we would even bungee cord it to the tree and then turn around and have colored popsicle sticks underneath the peanut butter jar. And they would turn around and the bungee cord would be undone. The jar would be gone. And then the popsicle sticks are laid out by color and sometimes in shapes by color. It might be a square or an X. So, people might want to slap me for that one, but it is, And that's the problem with pictures is one picture doesn't give context. And there we go. Let's go on that tangent just for a minute. The people who take one picture of one Bigfoot track should not get slammed the way they do. I'm sorry, because unless you experience how that goes, you don't have a freaking clue what you're talking about. When people take a picture of one Bigfoot track, odds are they are taking a picture of the best of the Bigfoot tracks. There's probably a whole lot of other impressions, and they're not picture worthy. They can't tell diddly squat. So just because you take one picture of one Bigfoot track, does not mean there weren't more. Linda Thompson told me why you started dating them, because the reason we started dating those jars was because it was kind of like a jigsaw puzzle in a way, and it was almost, we'll wrap it up with this little story. The fact that every time we believe that Bigfoot took one of the jars, there was a pattern. You would find the wrapper and keep walking along, and then you would find the lid, and then keep walking along. And if you're lucky, you found the jar. That was a pattern that happened more often than not with that. And sometimes you wouldn't find the jar, or maybe you wouldn't find the lid. So to figure out what was going on, started putting a date on the lid. So we'll just use 1031 as an example, and then an initial. Well, I used to put it in a piece of pipe, so it would be 1031P, and then on the bottom 1031P. So we could figure out if we were finding the same lids for the same jars, and that was the best way we could come up with it. And it paid off, because sometimes we would find the jars, and it might be 6 months later before we found that peanut butter jar. And still finding, found a lid a couple of months ago and hadn't put bait out there in 2 years. But our lovely little spam bots. Well, anyway, so with that, Grizzly's coming up next. He'll be on in 30 minutes. So he's had a great series going with, if many of you have been watching, as far as they've been talking Revelations. It's been very interesting, to say the least. And so tune in for that. And MK Davis would say, thank you very kindly for your time tonight. Thank you for your patience and hanging out with me with the fact that David couldn't stay in one place during his walk, apparently, even after he said he was going to the goof. So other than that, coast to coast, around the world, and everywhere in between, thanks again for hanging out, people. I really appreciate you. Have a great weekend, and we will see you next week.
It's a grizzly.
Should we get out of here?
No, we're gonna watch and listen.
Action.
It's a grizzly.
Oh, shit, should we run?
No.
Action.
It's a grizzly.
Oh, sure, run.
Okay. It's a grizzly.
Are you sure it's not Chipmunk?
Action.
Ah, get out of here.
Action.
It's a grizzly.
Ah, I'm out of here.
Huh. Maybe it is.